Christ's sake, why?
Hey?
Why?
Why? Because we fucking can! Because we fucking can. And if we can, we do. And if we lift our heel off their necks now, they'll just come at us.
Here we go. Live from Reno, Nevada. Yes, I said Reno. I'm in Reno right now. No, not at the old studio. I'm on the road. Push this. It's like a virtual do this show from anywhere on planet Earth. There's a Wi-Fi connection. Or a Hilton or a Hyatt. I need my drink to come with me. Today we're going to be talking about feminism. We're listening to the irrational male. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Guys, if there's anything wrong with the acoustics or the sound today, please let me know. I am once again on the road. So we'll see how this works out for us. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's kill that off of there. All right, brothers, here we go.
Where were you?
I went to go get coffee. Ow.
Don't talk back to me.
I did.
Again? Is that how you're going to the beach?
In a bathing
Why
suit?
so colorful? That's not bathing suit. Who are you trying to call the attention for?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Do you want me to change?
Yes.
All right, babe, I'm going to the corner store. What?
By yourself again.
I need
Why
to go
you
get...
always go to the corner store by yourself?
You could come
Why
with
can't
me.
I go?
Come with me. I'm
No, I
grabbing
don't want
eggs.
to go anymore. So, Melissa, huh?
Yeah, what about her?
That was your ex.
Yeah, you knew this.
Do you still think about her?
Only when you bring her up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you bring her up all the time.
So you still think about her, basically?
Really funny when dudes in their 30s get into like really good shape. Oh, bro, like I bench 250. It's like, oh,
why?
When's tryouts? When's football tryouts? Oh, 15 years ago?
You missed it. And especially when I see guys with kids do it, it's a man running away from his responsibilities.
I was talking about gains. Gain trust.
Honestly, can you just let us have this one thing?
You can't prove anything in biology, but boy, the probability that having a high VO2 max, high muscle mass, and high muscle strength are going to increase the length of your life and improve the quality of your life, that probability is so high that to act in disregard of that is irresponsible.
Yeah, what's that dude talking about? What an idiot for wanting to have a quality life. Did you know that it's Men's Mental Health Month and that the world economy is set to spend $6 trillion on mental health by the year 2030? Did you also know that in a massive meta-analysis that was published by the British Sports Medicine Journal, exercise was shown to significantly reduce anxiety and depression in all clinical populations? So not only will that dude who wanted to bench press 250, not only will he live longer and have a higher quality of life, he'll also be happier.
Is feminism pushing women into a male life history trajectory, into the role of breadwinner? Men get benefits for doing those kinds of things. Men who follow those trajectories get the prizes, they get the wives, they get the children, they get the resources, they get the good jobs. Their instincts are pushing them towards these resources because, in evolutionary terms, women are attracted to men who have those resources. So men benefit from that. Women pushed into following that trajectory find that men are not looking for women for those resources particularly. They're actually looking for women who are fertile. So they'll spend all their prime kind of reproductive years following this male life history trajectory, get to their 30s and find that all of the male peers are marrying younger women and having children with them. And they're freezing their eggs. If they manage to meet somebody on internet dating and they have to go through that, they end up on IVF and 50% of them end up never having children.
Don't you love how feminists are catching up to like the red pill 2010? I think the first time I did a post about egg freezing, I think it was Lolo Jones, maybe. I forget who it was. I remember when it first became a thing. I want to say it was 2014, maybe it was 2016. And we were talking about this and people were blowing it off. Oh, it's never going to happen, really. You're a reactionary, yada, yada, yada. And here we are. And I love it how we're finally coming full circle. I love it. Can you guys put a 1 in the chat if the sound is good? I'm still I'm wondering if I'm okay or not, but let me know.
We financially independent women are able to provide for ourselves and 3 or 4 or 10 other people. We don't need a man to provide for us. Instead, we want a man who's going to listen to us, who's going to make us feel seen and heard and cherished and adored. But little boys aren't raised this way. That's why it's...
She wants little boys to be raised to be little girls so that they can be seen and they're emotional. So it's like just get an emotional support animal of some sorts. I mean, why not? Audio is echoey. I don't think it's echoey.
Really difficult for men these days to make us feel like they love us. This is exactly what Steve Harvey says in his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And I quote, "Opening up is not what we do.
I'm not sure Steve Harvey is the one you want to be quoting here.
Profess, provide, and protect all our lives. That's what we men have been taught how."
And yet his second wife, was it second wife or third wife, is banging the bodyguard and the personal chef.
How to do, taught and encouraged. This, we've been told, is how a man shows his love. So if you're talking to a guy or you're getting to know or dating someone and he's not listening to you, it's because he doesn't know how to show you his love through listening. In fact, he'll be trying to do things for you, fixing, buying things for you, doing things for you, helping you.
And you want what?
Who are physically attractive tend to partner up with other people who are physically attractive, people who are, socioeconomically successful, and
You guys ever see, like, I don't know, maybe I'm noticing this more, but you ever see let me see if I can set that. Much better now. Got it. You ever see, what is it, the in shape dude with the out of shape girlfriend, the out of shape wife? I see more combat. I don't know, maybe it's just me or maybe it's just Vegas, but I see more guys that are in shape. I see more dudes in the gym to begin with, no matter what, but I see guys who are like pretty, I don't say yoked, but they're much better shape than the girls that they're with. And maybe this is just something I'm noticing recently, but it appears to me like there's way, if it leans one way or the other right now, I think women are less tolerant of a guy who's overweight than the other way around.
have a high degree of success and status and so on, they tend to pair up with people who are similar to themselves. Educational attainment is one of the strongest categories with regard to assortative mating.
Okay, I want to point out a few things here. One of the things that I see these guys, like Rob Henderson is one of them, and I like Rob Henderson. I subscribe to his Substack, but I wanted to just put a footnote here. A lot of these guys have noticeably, at least for me anyways, have noticeably switched off wholesale from the mating, the mate switching hypothesis, and now they're all in on assortative mating now. What happened, guys? What happened to the mate switching hypothesis that was so popular from, the last, I don't know, really since 2021, 22, somewhere around there. And everybody was all about it because Dr. David Buss was on board with it because he had a book called Men Behaving Badly, and they were all giving up on dual mating. And now suddenly they're not giving up on dual mating and they don't want to focus on mate switching hypothesis anymore. Why would that be? Probably because it's been disproven, even by their own people. It's been disproven. And I love how people they don't walk away or go away with their tail between their legs. They come back with assortative mating. It's got to be the next straw man in the next line of bullshit, rather than just see what's right there in front of their eyes.
There was a study about 20 years ago which found that if your highest level of education is a college degree, or rather, if
you notice how he just casually passes that off. It was about 20 years ago. 20 years ago was 2005, Rob.
If your highest level of education is a high school diploma, your likelihood of marrying a college graduate is only 9%. Whereas if your highest level of education is a college degree, your likelihood of marrying another person with a college degree is 65%. And that was...
Yeah, if you're a dude. if you're a chick, it doesn't matter. You can have a GED as long as you're hot. Your likelihood of getting married, even to a college graduate, is still pretty much higher than a dude without a college degree or whatever. And really, all that comes down to is status. It's not about educational attainment. It's not about comparing apples and oranges. It's not about like, oh, well, likes get with likes. It's proximity and it's status. Basically, that's it.
It was 20 years ago, so my guess is that this would be even higher today, that college graduates.
Why would you think it's higher today? Why would not be lower today, since we have, I don't know, social media? Since we have, because I'll tell you right now, Hinge, Tinder, Bumble didn't exist in 2005, Rob. Why would you go there first? Why is the immediate, most obvious thing to these guys to go to whatever sounds flattering to the female nature?
And to marry other college graduates.
Yeah, whatever, bro.
Hi, my name is Ashley Glandon, number 96336. I'm 35 years old. I have about 6 months left. I'm at Pocatello Women's Correctional Center in Idaho. I'm not really looking for anything specific right now, so I'm being spontaneous. If you want to hit me up on jpay.com, in 30 days it'll be gettingout.com. Big shout out to Prison Connect.
You guys ready to sign out on that one? Come on now.
Aaron has a very big issue with my past. He found my list of people I have been with, and he was pissed. He actually broke up with me initially.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What? He found your list? Why are you keeping a list?
But after a while, we got back together. The issue now is I feel like he is constantly making judgmental comments about me being easy or
No, he's probably making judgmental comments about you keeping a list.
having a high body count. He always says he's just kidding, but how can I get him to stop caring that I was with guys before him? I feel like every single girl has a list of the guys she's ever been with. Like, how fun.
Jedediah Bila, a hat tips to Jedediah Bila. She's the one who turned me on to this one. It's not the body count, baby. It's that you have a body count that you have a list for.
Remember the men that have been inside of me, and I have a husband, and that's okay. This sounds like a really insecure or possessive man.
Imagine you're with a chick and you're a dude and you're like, God, man, I got this list. I'm logging all the I got this Excel spreadsheet and I'm logging all the chicks I used to nail. Imagine your girlfriend or your wife finds that list. Her first question is not going to be like body count. Her first question is going to be like, why are you keeping a list? Fresh is on the list.
And if anything, everyone we've been with prior to has helped us become the person we are today. I think you're
helped you become the person you are today. Yeah, Chad, Tyrone. What is it? Meekus.
Your answer next time he says that, if you were just being catty, is like, what's your point? I was so easy. What's your point? Do you not want to be with me anymore? He's like, well, no, I'm just saying, like, I'm really fucking shocked, like, how easy you were. What's your point?
No, what he's shocked about is you're keeping a list so you can reminisce over the list, you dumb bitch.
What's your point? Are you trying to put me down right now? Or do you want me to get upset?
Why do you think he would be trying to put you down? See, this is where I love this. Is like whenever women come up with this, like, well, what are you thinking? What are you saying? What are you insinuating? And then they'll tell you what they think that you're insinuating. And I'll tell you what's funny is they will, like, I mean, of course, Myron and Fresh call this what, telling on themselves, right? Incriminating. I can't remember what is it? Snitching on themselves. All you got to do is just sort of parse out why they would be I hate to use this word, to be convicted about those things. What, are you going to leave me now because I have a body count of X, Y, and Z? No, I'm going to leave you now because you kept a list of it.
Do you want me to defend myself? Like, you let me know what's your point? What do you want me to do?
Imagine this. Imagine you find, I don't know, an old VHS tape, or like, I mean, it's going to become more and more common. You're going to find like, there's going to be like amateur porn of your girlfriend somewhere, or it's one thing. Okay. It's one thing If the girl goes out and does it on her own, right? If she goes out and she's on OnlyFans, okay, I understand that. Okay, but that aside, it's one thing if the chick has amateur porn and she hangs on to it rather than it sort of just getting away from her, right? If she's got like old VHS tape or she's got pictures of her sucking dick of some older guy, like imagine you take the list thing to the next level, right? And it's like all of these, like, I don't know, Polaroids or old pictures, or maybe she's got like a, I don't know, picture gallery on her phone or something like that, or her taking dick. Would you then not say, why are you hanging on? Like, wouldn't the next natural question be like, why are you hanging on to this? Because that's pretty much where we're going with the list thing. It's not your body count. It's the fact that you have this list so that it can remind you of the dudes you fuck that ain't the dude that you're with right now. And you're right. It is what built you up and made you what you are today.
You want me to leave?
Yes.
You want me to call them?
Yes.
You want me to detail everyone?
You're going to be doing that anyways. Why would you keep a list if that's not what you're already
For
doing?
you? Do you want me to pretend you're the first person I've ever had sex with? Like, what do you want? What will make you feel better? You little fucking bitch boy.
Somebody sounds real convicted.
Best marriage hack I ever did in my life. Sit down with your
This is the single worst marriage hack you could possibly do.
partner and ask them to be completely selfish and tell you what the perfect day would look like for them. I mean, absolutely perfect, maxed out, doesn't have to be realistic, just the perfect day from you to them, what they would want to experience. And here's the crazy thing. Most people don't ask for crazy stuff, and you ask for that list, and that becomes your cheat code for your marriage. They'll tell you what they want you to do in the morning. They'll tell you what you want to do at lunch. They'll tell you exactly what things they want to hear from you to them every day. And then you just do that. And it's amazing how much your marriage and your relationship will change.
Do you think women would come up with this to figure out what it is that their husband or their boyfriend really wants from them? Do you think that they would agonize over so much over trying to make a guy happy that they would go to this? They would do this?
Simply by asking them, what would a perfect day look like for you? And then doing that.
See, that's not, oh my God. Okay, we'll come back to that later. Okay. Sadia Khan is not a psychologist. It does not possess a degree.
A high body count is actually far more detrimental to a man than it is to a woman.
What? Continue.
It's because in order to have a high body count, you have to drop your standard. You're in a short-term meeting.
Okay, do you guys catch that? Wait, let me back this up. Watch where the jump edit is. Where's the jump edit here?
Have to drop your standard. You're in a short-term mating strategy. That means you need somebody who's probably sexy, promiscuous, is somebody who's not emotionally connected to sex because she's okay with your short-term mating strategies.
So let's see. If you're with a chick who likes to get after it on the first date, then it's detrimental to you because you're with the type of girl who would want to get on top of a guy on the first date, right?
Now, the problem with that is you are now getting used to a different type of woman. You are getting used to the type of woman who not looking for connection, not looking for commitment. You're also looking for a woman who you can't trust.
Okay, why? Why is that? Okay, this is where the straw man is. Why is that? If you're getting to know this person and you want to trust this person, like, first of all, if you're having sex on the first night, if you're really all you're doing is sport fucking, whether or not you can trust that person or not is immaterial to the fact that you're only in this. It's like having a fuck buddy.
Because this woman is probably sleeping with other men. And so you're not.
Probably. Or maybe not, depending on how alpha you are, depending on how much she's into you. That's a possibility too there. But you wouldn't know that because you don't have a degree in psychology.
Learning the skills and tools you need to actually cultivate a relationship. Whereas a woman that
Thank you, marriage. Yeah, porn stars. Porn stars have no problem whatsoever compartmentalizing the sex act from an emotional investment. And that's what's so off-putting about female porn stars to guys, because female porn stars approach sex just like men approach sex. We can compartmentalize that. I joked about this on Access Vegas not too long ago. I'm like, I don't necessarily think that if I'm going to go rub one out to Pornhub, that I'm going to have some emotional crisis because I fell in love with that porn star while I was jerking off for 5 minutes. And then now I hate myself for having done that because I fell in love with her and now I fell out of love with her.
wants to be a wife is going to want a date and is going to want a long conversation, is going
Okay. The other thing that gets me about this, and here's maybe to a lesser degree Orion Terabam, but like my two biggest beefs right now, say beefs, my two biggest points of contention, let's just say, is with people like Sadia Khan and Orion Taraban, and I'll get into that. You already know why Orion is a thorn in my ass. But the problem that I see with a lot of these guys is that they use marriage and they use pair bonding and they use monogamy as a litmus test, as if that is the be all end all. And anytime they talk about, and by the way, this goes hand in hand with what Alex Hormozy was just saying a moment ago, right? Is, do whatever you can to make her happy, right? Well, first of all, Alex, you're never going to make her happy because contentment is not part of the human algorithm. Next off is, why is marriage the ultimate? All advice that comes out of like pop psychology is always, always, always measured by the metric of monogamy. It should not be in any way, shape, or form.
And I want to get to know your family. When a woman requires you to step up and be a man and step up and be more dedicated, you find that too much hard work, when really that is the bare minimum if you want to attract a traditional good woman.
What if I don't want to attract a traditional good woman?
So you end up only being compatible with very low quality women.
Why are they low quality? Again, that's a judgment call. Like, this whole entire clip is just rife with logical fallacies.
And women who are accepting and used to your low quality mating strategy.
Right. So they're low quality because you're low quality.
No, and I can't be excited. I can't meet a girl and she's like, I'm your soulmate. I'm like, you're what's left. You know what I mean? Where were you? What took you so long? I'm 39. Like, why are you late? Like, why is my soulmate used? I got a used ass soulmate? Just showing up limping with kids? What the is this? I want a fresh ass soulmate. I got a used ass soulmate? Divorced with kids? That's like going to a restaurant and ordering a steak and the server bringing it over and it's half eaten, well done. You'd be like, yo, what's up with this steak? You'd be like, oh, my bad, man. Somebody else thought they wanted it. And then you showed up half dead and we're like, we'll just give them this. What's this steak called? They're like, that's our step steak. I was like, all right, delicious. Comes with a couple potatoes. They're autistic.
Okay, that's enough of that. Look, here's my beautiful room. Look, there's the cup chair right there. Unused. Look, there's the bed, still made. Not me. I walked in. This is an extra room I have, right? Like, I usually I picked up 2 rooms on this trip. But my wife is in one of these other rooms, and we have this that's pretty much the same thing. And I go, oh, look, it's a cuck chair. She's like, what's the cuck chair? And I literally took 10 minutes trying to explain what a cuck chair was. Like, thank you, I love you, but thank you for not knowing what a cuck chair is. Oh, Jesus. Yes, Destiny's under the bed. Hold on, let me look. I don't think so. Thank you for telling me about the audio. I am in Reno, Nevada right now. I'm staying, let's see, in South. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, so you guys don't hunt me down. But I'm in South Reno right now. What do you think? This is not a bad setup. I got a new light here. It's a little stark. I gotta dial it in a little bit better. But I got a new. This is my new traveling light, and it's really great, man. It was only like $99, and it's like you can do RGB, it could do colors, it can do like warm, it can do soft, it can do all kinds of stuff. It's pretty great, man. It is an Amaran if you guys are interested in if you're a hardware nerd like me. But Amaran, yeah. Check it out, man. It won an award, I think, at CES not too long ago. So go check that out. I think that's how I actually came across it. Anyways, I am here, and there will be no video issues today because I actually brought my Sony ZV-10 with me today. And even if I didn't, I still have my iPhone 16, which is almost a better camera than this one. So anyways, how's it going, man? Wow, are we at war? Are we at war yet? Have we blown up the world? You know, I'll tell you what's funny, and I don't do politics, but I'm just going to laugh about this for 1 second. I think what's interesting is, like, I I'm 57 years old. I went through Operation Desert Storm. I went through Operation Desert Shield. Let's see, what else did I go through? Well, everything that happened after 9/11. When we invaded Iraq, I remember that, which was what, 2001, well, 2002-ish, I think, somewhere around 2001, 2002. I still think that George W. Bush was probably the single worst president we've ever had, and I will die on that hill. And I've been through a lot of military actions. I mean, like, you know, I've seen it unfold, put it that way. I think what's funny is whenever the United States decides to drop a bomb or decides to like engage, like invade something or like use military force in any way, shape, or form, I think you got to remember that the people who are like saying it's World War III, Rollo, it's in the Bible, it's like, you got to remember that's exactly what they were saying back in around 9/11. We're in the end times, Rollo. It's 9/11. Oh my gosh. I mean, how many people were even alive during what 2000, 2001, 9/11, 2001? How many people were alive? How many people went through that? How many people went through the invasion of Iraq? How many people went through the invasion of Afghanistan? Like the initial, I mean, we've been living with Afghanistan for forever, but I think it's funny, like whenever I see somebody who like hashtag World WW3, I really thought it was like a wrestling thing at first. I'm like, oh, what's this? But like, how many people have gone through that stuff and like listened to the same rhetoric over and over and over again? And I'm just like, it's not World War III. They did what they did. I mean, if they commit to something even more extensive, then that's that. But like, just like, yeah, you have to compare it to what's happened in the past, I think. And I don't think enough people were even alive. People weren't even watching what Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents back when we invaded Iraq. Anybody remember? Yeah, nothing ever happens. Thank you, Giga Chad. Yeah, nothing ever happens. And if it does, it's usually this protracted, you know, an Afghanistan type, you know, invasion kind of thing. But yeah. Anyways, I got asked a question today by Sir Mr. Jason, and I'm going to start with your thing first here, Jay. Did I catch the Diary of the CEO? You mean, what's his face? What the heck's his name? Let me see. I looked him up. Damn it. I looked him up on IG. Oh, Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, I follow him on. Stephen Bartlett's like killing it, man. He's at 10.8 million subscribers. Steve is like the black version of I should put it this way. Steve is like what Chris Williamson like wishes he could be. 10.8 million. Not to say he's not catching up. He might be, but Steve is like, I would much rather go on Steve's show than I would on Chris Williamson's show. But I don't think that's ever going to happen either, by the way, for the same reason. And let me explain something too. Thanks, Mr. Jason. Yes, I did see that. We're going to talk about that today. Courtesy of my good friend Jim Kilgore, he already cut up some clips for me to go over, and so I'm going to riff on some of those today. What Sir Mr. Jason is referring to is Steve Bartlett on his channel did a debate. Is feminism? What's the title of it? Is feminism creating lonely, broken, sexless men? Is feminism creating this? I love this. And the only people who are on the panel are one butch-looking, gray-haired liberal, looks like she's a Unitarian, priestess, feminist. That she looks like she's a college professor. Then there's the stereotypical butch bull, alpha, quote unquote, alpha female. Feminist who's wearing red, is way overweight, and it has like the shoulder pads and the in her power jacket. Got that one. Okay, we got that base covered, and now we have Louise Perry on there. Who's kind of like, can't we all just get along to go along kind of thing? And if you know anything about Louise, she's been making the rounds, and there's no one on planet Earth that I would love to debate more than Louise, because a lot of the stuff that she talks about, I've been talking about really since like 2015, 2014, even 2012. Right. I think way back in 2009, I was making the connection between hormonal birth control and what happened in 1971. And people, yes, now I feel like an urgency to write that book. Thank you very much. I will get off my ass and do that. With all the feminists, I got to tell you that it's a wild one. Everything you said came true. Yes, thank you. Everything they're saying, you will have heard right here on this show between 2018 and today. everything. If not in my books, if not from my first, you will hear echoes of what I was writing what I published anyways in 2013 in their conversation, and and I'm here for it. But thank you for that, Mr. Jason. Okay, let me just I'm going to hammer through these right quick. Hey, Rollo, it seems like most people have moved on from the red pill to ortho bro stuff. Well, bye. Please do. Go debate whether Tarzan can beat up Superman. My God can beat up your God. Please go and just jump in that tar pit. I'm happy to see you drown in the quicksand, because that's all it's going to be. Which I'm happy for. Yes, me too, because that way we don't have to worry about the mainstream mischaracterizing it and making hit pieces on us. Yeah, well, my thoughts are is that they're the only person who... Would you call Andrew Wilson an ortho bro? Because I don't think I would, but he consorts with ortho bros. I like Andrew Wilson quite a bit, more so since he poked Tommy Lahren in the eyes. But yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it happening. I know a lot of the guys who wanted to sort of debate me on religious topics. It's like I can only go so far with that, because once you play the God card, the conversation's over. And that's why these guys get off on beating each other up with their God bats, because you're going to have the Catholic, you're going to have the Eastern Orthodox, the Western Orthodox, the Orthodox Convention of 1678 from the Schism of 1491, and that guy who's the real Pope, or the real, I don't know, Poobah. He's the actual guy we should be following, and if you don't, you're going to hell. That's the thing I love about franchise Christianity. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, read my 4th book, because that's basically how I characterize it. Christianity is a series of franchises, and those franchises we call our denominations. So it's not even what denomination you are, it's what franchise you are. So do you like Burger King or do you like Taco Bell? Because Taco Bell is my franchise. Yeah. The problem I have with this is, and I don't even know if it's really a problem, because they're just going to, the conversation always comes out the same. The debate always comes out the same. You play the God card and that's it. And that's another thing I have to be really aware of. Like when people want to ask me to come on their podcast, or they want, hey, why don't you come on our podcast and debate this? Or why don't you come on our podcast? It's not even so much that. It's not, hey, come on our podcast. We're really interested in what you have to say. And then I go and I look them up, and they're like, Orthodox this, or there's some sort of, and they've got a little cross in their bio, right? Or they've got or their banner art is some enlightened manuscripts from some holy book you never even seen, you didn't know. And or else it's the guy who's got the black cap and the big old, he's a white guy, right? And he's got a big old beard. It's almost like a white Muslim. And thanks, man. I'm full already from the last Orthodox meal I had, so I'll pass. Hello from the plains of Colorado. Clary would be jealous. Kidding. Yeah, nah, he would be jealous. He would. On the topic of in-shape men and fat women, 2 words, black guys. Yeah. There's the fantasy and there's the reality. And the reality is what you're saying, Rational Trucker. Let's see. Men are opportunists, whether for short-term or long-term. While women are more selective, men are the experimental gender. Yeah, well, that's another thing, Dark Dev, is nature takes more chances with men, men, because we have higher testosterone, we have a higher risk tolerance, we have personal security is not always our first priority on our head. We invented helmets for a reason. Yeah, I mean, it's just the fundamental differences between men and women. But yeah, men are sexual opportunists. We're opportunists of breeding. Women are opportunists too, but it's usually for what's the best option for their long-term security, and how can they balance the hypergamous equation, alpha fucks versus beta bucks, right? So it depends on what that woman, that individual woman needs at a particular time. That's why I wrote the second book, by the way. So you've got that. Well, I've got it right here, as a matter of fact. When you got this timeline right here, at different stages, you'll notice this little the sort of liner notes I have there in gray: alpha short term, beta long term, all that stuff. That's really the crux of this timeline this is from my second book. It's Preventative Medicine, available on Amazon. Go get it today. It's the cheapest of all my books, actually, because it's I don't know, it's just a quick read. I think. Physicality is very important for women in their teenage years, and it goes all the way up until they get to be about 31 or 32. It's not that it's not important then, it is. It's just prioritized differently later on. Then status becomes something that is that they become conscious of, and then affluence and provisioning. All of those, well, anyway, status and affluence and provisioning are part of the beta bucks long-term security part of that algorithm that you're talking about, or that we're talking about here. But yeah, men are the experimental gender, yes, because we will try different things. Men have fetishes. Women who, if you meet a woman who has a fetish, it's because she learned to enjoy that fetish from a guy that taught her that fetish. Very few women come up with fetishes on their own. Let's see. Thank you, Dark Death. Got a lot of these today. Feminism has freed more men than Abe Lincoln and Moses combined. Oh, really? We're in the golden age where society hasn't figured out men aren't upset and they're not required to be burdened by women anymore. That's a good take. I'll see if I can flesh that out a little bit later here today, because we got I think one of the chicks on that panel from Steve Bartlett's panel mentioned something close to that. Thousands of Western men are dying in the Middle East. Women most affected. Yes, they're always most affected, no matter what. It's always because women are solipsistic and they always have to make it about themselves. Opinion about Adam Lane Smith. I haven't heard anything about him. Somebody want to enlighten Sammy? Can you enlighten me about what's going on with Adam Lane Smith? I have no earthly idea what's going on with him. I wish I could give you an informed decision, but I don't know anything about it right now. Rolo Podclass idea for later. What's flattery? Why do people avoid unflattery? Why are the facts of physical attraction unflattering? And unflattering? Because there's a difference between what you're talking, like flattery. Like if you're going to say, well, why do people avoid flattery? It's like if somebody's flattering you, it's usually superficial, but that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about unflattering truths about human nature. And what's the difference between male and female flattery? Okay. You're using flattery in a little bit different context than I am. Okay. What I usually say is this, is that most, certainly researchers, avoid talking about unflattering truths about female nature. What are those unflattering truths? Okay. Number one, I can give you a perfect example of this, is the rash, the endemic, the pandemic, the whatever, I don't even know what to call it right now. Just the high incidence of female teachers sexually assaulting, rape, in most cases, statutorily raping, and I'm using that in a clinical sense, YouTube, and essentially assaulting their under the age of consent, male students. Why aren't the ivory tower academics, the Evo Psych masters of the fucking universe, how come they're not addressing this? It's everywhere. That's why I am keeping a list of this. We're at number 44 right now, by the way, for this year. We got all the way up to 79 last year. So everybody thinks we're going to break the magic 100 this year. We'll see. What is this? What happened with Adam Lane, the fat ginger guy on Chris Williamson? What happened to him? What do I think of him? Adam Lane Smith. Oh, is that oh fuck, what's the guy's name? Prometheus? Is that what he goes by? God, I can't believe I remember that. I block on celebrity names, but I think he goes by Prometheus on Twitter. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Adam Lane Smith. Okay, I know who you're talking about. Adam Lane Smith, I've commented on him before. He's over-reliant on a dead form of psychology, which is called attachment theory. Why are we even talking about this in the 21st century? It was debunked way back in the 80s and the 90s. We're still talking. You know how it's been debunked? Because we now know enough about the 4 laws of behavioral genetics. Pretty much cancel out any kind of attachment theory because it's based on parental involvement, right? And it turns out that parental influence has very little to do with your character and very little to do with your personality later on in life. It is actually what the best thing you can do? It's not about being a good parent these days. Well, so much. I mean, it obviously accounts for something. I'm not saying it doesn't, but look for somebody who's a good breeding opportunity. Look for somebody who has good genes. Look for somebody who has good character traits and a good personality. If you really want to optimize your reproductive strategy, think in terms of eugenics instead of oh, we're going to be good and involved. We're going to be helicopter parents, whatever. No, it's pretty much almost nature versus nurture. That question's already been settled, and in settling it, it basically killed off so many pet hypotheses and so many holy cows. What is it, golden calves, whatever, of earlier of secular humanist psychology collectively went down the toilet once we plotted the human genome. And what we know about behavioral genetics, right? And we're still studying this, by the way, but there are 4 laws of behavioral genetics. I can get into them if you'd like. But more or less, I think Adam Lane Smith is the guy who talks about attachment styles, and he's trying to, like, in some way, create attachment style. Attachment theory has been like gone for so long right now, and so whenever I hear people talk about it, even Coral, who I actually have a lot of respect for, and I think she's another like sexologist, used to be a former sex worker. I don't know what she did, but he sort of turned a hobby into a profession, I guess. But attachment theory is, you might as well be reading the Secret, man. You might as well be believing in the law of attraction or some hocus pocus shit, because it's been long gone. But I don't know. Was there some sort of oh yeah, the avoidant man? Okay, so you are asking. Basically, you're not asking me about Adam Lane Smith. You're asking me about attachment theory. Attachment theory, attachment styles, is really, it's behaviorism, but it's also dependent on social construction. It's also dependent on parental involvement. If your mommy didn't love you enough, then you have a distant avoidant personality type. No, you don't. Actually, you are born that way. You have those genes that happen to manifest that actually, were activated, more or less. It's genetics. It's more genetics than it is what you learn. Although you do learn it, though. Okay, here we go. The query. Adam Lane Smith, Prometheus. See, I was right. It was Prometheus. I was right. My brain still works. Adam Lane Smith is known as the attachment specialist. Okay, you go look up seriously, go Google or go to Perplexity. Actually, don't go to Perplexity and look up attachment styles and all that stuff, and look up what are the confounding, like what basically confounds that attachment style hypothesis. I can't even believe we're talking about this. It's like flat Earth, for fuck's sake, man. It's been dead for a long time. Why are we digging these? Why don't we just talk about astrology and enneagrams and shit like that? It's basically as valid as that stupid shit. All right, enough of that. Flattering. Okay, the reason why most researchers stay away from things like why is it that there's such a high incidence of female teachers banging their underage students? This one chick is just now the one girl that got pulled out of the car, and she had Kill Crew. Sorry, man. The Kill Crew hoodie on. I forget the chick's name. She just got hit with another 52 counts of, like, I don't know, child endangerment or sexual activities with a child. Right? Why aren't guys like Will Costello. Why aren't guys like, well, I know why date psych isn't, because date psych is, bye. Goodbye, date psych. Date psych got hammered for his choice in women recently. And if you don't know about that, I'll be happy to explain it to you later. But date psych, Rob Henderson, for example, why don't they touch why you would think that would be, I've seen the fat guy. Thank you very much. You don't have to send me a picture of his fat face. But thank you. I know who Adam Lane Smith is right now. I didn't know. I couldn't match. If you would have said Prometheus, I would have got you right away. I know the character. I just don't know the actor. But anyways, as far as like the flattery thing is, like, why the one thing that you will always see is pop psychologists, and now pop psychology has filtered over and bled over into evolutionary psychology, even to the point where like I can criticize David Buss for this. Why isn't David Buss researching why teachers are banging their students? Why isn't Rob? You would think that would be fascinating, right? This confounds mate switching hypothesis. That's why they won't touch mate. What's mate switching hypothesis? We never said anything about that. Mate switching hypothesis gets flushed down the toilet when you see, I don't know, 24-year-old, 24 to 34-year-old, semi-good looking, usually blonde, but not always, a teacher getting with her 15, 14, in some cases 12 and 11 and 12-year-old male students. Why? Why would she do that if mate switching hypothesis was such a strong theory? Oh, that rat Rollo Tomasi pointed it out. Well, the reason why is because they won't touch anything that is unflattering to female nature. And that would require them to accept and acknowledge the fact that women have the alpha fucks side of hypergamy, or the dual mating strategy, take your pick, that they simply will never touch. They just don't want to, because they'll lose influence. They'll lose half of their audience. They will alienate the female audience that they have. That's why Chris Williamson won't touch this. That's why Gad Saad even won't touch this. That's why, but I'm using that as, there's other examples I could be using right now, but this is the most glaring one. And the reason why they don't touch this is because they would have to acknowledge that women have a visceral side. Women have an alpha fuck side, the short-term sexual benefit side. You want to know, as I was saying before, if you ever want to know why they are fixated on marriage and monogamy and pair bonding and all this bullshit that Sadia Khan seems to think is so bloody important, it's the reason why monogamy is the metric for whether or not a sexual strategy or mating strategy is valid in any way, is because it follows the female life track. It follows the female mating track. And if we say, well, what's good for women also should be good for men, right? That's what Sadia Khan was trying to do in that one video, in the last video that I played, or second to last video I played. She wants to think that there's a yin to the yang. There's not always. This is Mother Nature. Nothing is necessarily imbalanced. That's the thing that kills me. This is not fucking Avatar. Okay, this is not, oh, well, we have to find a balance in nature, and there's a yin to a yang, and everything is in equilibrium, and everything is egalitarian. No, it's not. Sometimes shit is actually chaotic, and it's all one side, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, to stick our head in the sand to say that there has to be some sort of yin to the yang is well, frankly, unscientific. It's unempirical, and it's all based on feels. It feels to me like there should be some sort of balance to the fact that, well, I don't know, female teachers seem to like to fuck their underage, students. Well, men do it, and they do it too, and they do it worse. Well, we're not talking about men right now. We're talking about women. And I'm talking about why is it that the academia and the intelligentsia of evolutionary psychology, or even pop psychology, how come Steve Harvey and Dr. Phil aren't covering this? You would think that'd be right up their alley. No one touches this, because it's what's called the women are wonderful effect. The women are wonderful. Go look this up. You could go to Perplexity or Google, however you choose. Go look up women are wonderful, or women are wonderful effect. It's a well-studied psychological effect that anything that women do is always inherently better than what men do. And we will always apply ourselves and take women more seriously and try to solve women's problems at the expense of trying to solve men's problems. This is Men's Mental Health Month. Nobody said jack shit about it. It's the same month that it's Pride Month. And I love this when we're talking about men's mental health and how important. Well, anytime there's some sort of mass shooting, or anytime there's some sort of some guy is acting out of he leaves the plantation. Anytime a guy leaves the plantation, we're going to talk about men's mental health or male suicide. You know what the biggest mind fuck about male suicide is that we've got to make it in some way female specific. Well, if he'd gone to therapy, well, what kind of therapy? Well, psychotherapy, or what they can't tell you in the first place. We need to focus on men's mental health. Okay, how? They're long on rhetoric and short. They just say, men need to go to therapy. So it's men's fault that they're killing themselves because they refuse to go to therapy. They're stubborn assholes. They're like stubborn mules. No, that's because that therapy doesn't work for them. There's female therapy and there's male therapy. But we have this cookie cutter mentality that therapy is therapy. Why? Because we still, women anyways, believe in the blank slate. They believe in social constructionism rather than the individual natures, the different natures of men and women. And that would mean that they would have to accept the fact that there are individual natures in the first place, and that there needs to be different therapy for different people. I'm not saying that men's mental health shouldn't be an issue. I'm just saying how we go about it is the issue. And saying so just blindly dismissing men. The thing is women want it always to be about them, but when it has to be about men, they'll always find a way to turn it around so that men most affected, right? Oh, women and children are the primary victims of war. The man is dead in a fucking trench somewhere in World War I, but it's the women that are most affected. That's the mentality. You ever want to know why there's a gynocentric social order? It's that mentality right there, and it's all based on emotionalism too. So if men are killing themselves, then it must be men's fault that they're killing themselves, because the only other alternative is that men are offing themselves in response to this despondency that was created by women. Or maybe it wasn't even created by women at all, but they don't want anyone to think that it was created by women. When Anthony Bourdain put a noose around his neck, the first thing Rose McGowan said publicly was, it wasn't Asia Argento's fault. And turns out later on when they were doing the documentary, it was her fault, or else she was the catalyst of it. I didn't say she put the noose around his neck. She knew. When she was photographed in Italy with her 29-year-old boy toy, and she realized she was being photographed, she went up to the photographer and says, please don't publish these photos. It will ruin Anthony Bourdain. She knew that he was suicidal. They knew that he would be suicidal as a result of that, because he was a beta. He was a terminal beta. And I'm not saying it was her fault, but she knew that would be the catalyst for him offing himself. So what does she do? Don't go and post these pictures, because he'll probably off himself. She knew that was the potential anyways. That was a possibility. And then Rose McGowan, her sister, and her occult sister, the first thing out of her mouth was, it wasn't Asia Argento's fault. Because everybody would say, well, it was that bitch. That bitch hadn't been fucking around and being a loyal girlfriend, then he probably would still be with this great man, this alpha male, and every other respect of his life would still be with us. This great, wonderful artist, this great, wonderful guy that everybody loved would still be with us. Now, it's really ultimately Anthony Bourdain's fault that he killed himself, but the fact remains that women are cognizant of that. And so they realize if that's the case, we've got to find some way to be able to easily dismiss this. So what do they say? Oh, Anthony Bourdain was on Zoloft. He took too much Xanax. We really need to focus on men's mental health. He never went to therapy, so it's out of our hands. That's because they don't want it to seem like the blame comes back to them, because they want to be the ones who are the ones picking up the pieces after he put a noose around his neck and asphyxiated himself, right? So there you have it. That's the unflattering truth. We need you at the next CME in Miami. If Mr. Sharp invites me, I will be happy to go. I will accept the invitation. He says Myron is coming as well. Of course he is. It's in Miami. He'll go. If Donovan invites me, I'll be happy to go. I'm patiently watching my mailbox. No, he hasn't said anything, and not that he wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just slipped his mind. But if you want me to be at the CME, talk to Donovan, because I'll be happy to accept. I didn't even know what was going on. So if you want to hit me up, I'll be happy to go. Any collab with Joker or It's Complicated guy? Probably not with Joker, because he's kind of like a little bit standoffish to me. But like John from It's Complicated is a really cool dude. I know he's in Vegas, and I would be happy to do a collab with him. He's been on the panel. We've had him on Access Vegas at least once or twice. Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. Is Bonnie Blue a man? No, Bonnie Blue is not a man. Stop it. Stop it. Seek help. Get help. Bonnie Blue is not a man. Okay. Thank you very much. If you have ever come across her porn, she's not a man. Trust me on this one. If you were like, oh, I would never watch porn, then just take it from Uncle Rollo. She's got female lady parts. Trust me. Go, you go. Jesus Christ. He's a man. You know what's funny is Bonnie Blue probably seeded that rumor so that we would talk about that on this show. Thanks. We just gave her an extra $10,000 on our OnlyFans. Well done. It's propaganda. It's agit. It's Bonnie Blue agitprop. Hey, Bonnie, I want my royalties check. I want my residuals check. Why do women forget all about their attachment styles? Because there's no such thing as attachment styles. Childhood trauma and psychological wounds when Chad pulls up, because Chad fucks it all out of their head. For that brief and shining moment, she leaves this world. She enters another. Dr. Taraban and Chris are fans of attachment theory. Of course they are, because it's pop psychology. Attachment theory appeals to females. It appeals to women. Why don't they do Enneagrams? They should do the psychological relevance of Enneagrams too, or The Secret. Maybe you should start doing something about The Secret, guys. And Chris Williamson. Probably, let's see, what's his name? Matt Hussey's probably a big fan of attachment theory too. Anything that keeps the bitches watching, that's probably what they're about. You will never hear me talk about attachment theory, nor will you ever hear me ever give any validity to The Secret or Enneagrams or astrology. The fucking world is a round globe. We've landed on the moon. Aliens might be real. That's my story, and I'm going with it. The issue with online dating is women lack social insight for their extended community. They lack insight pretty much generally. If they saw the women that the top 2% of men commit to, they'd waste less time chasing men who don't choose. No, they wouldn't. And not to rub your nose in it, rational redneck, but I don't think they would, because never let the dream die, right? How do I know this? Because I've seen this happen over and over and over again on whatever podcast, where even when women go, and I don't think Brian's done this in a while, but anytime a show goes to the female delusion calculator, which we've used quite extensively on Access Vegas, even when presented with the statistical improbability, I mean, this can't be anything's possible, improbability of that woman finding the guy who is the only guy that she'll settle for, the only guy that she will find suitable as an eligible bachelor, right? He's got to be finance, 6'5", blue eyes, trust fund, whatever. He's got to have money. He's got to have muscles. He's got to have game. He's got to be 6 foot tall. He's got to be unmarried. He can't be obese. He's got to be somewhat in shape, if not like I wouldn't say necessarily yoked, but he's got to have some sort of visible like muscularity to him. I think he's got to be like right around 18 to 15% body fat. That's the threshold. Better if it's down towards the 12% range, but I digress. Even when you say, okay, let's find out let's add the numbers up, right? Even when you say, well, the guy that you want is represented by 0.0000874% of the American population that you live in. Don't you think it's time to maybe, dial back the height requirement? Nope. Because I'm a 10. They're fat as hell. I'm a 10. You're going to be alone you can take your 10 and be alone with it, because you're not going to find that guy simply doesn't exist. So, but it's like Han Solo. Never tell me the odds, that it will always be the same. Let's see. Notice that the female award each other with status increases by negative attitudes and actions to males. Yeah. Clarification. Why is alpha fucks unflattering? Faltering? No, unflattering is what you're trying to say. Because it is indicative that women actually like to fuck. Because it would crush the hopes and dreams of the average guy, of the 80%er guys. It's unflattering. It's unflattering in the sense of, if you want to know why I am not as popular as I probably could be, or if I cut my hair and I look like, I don't know, if I look like this guy. That's me, by the way. That is actually me. And there is no AI involved in this whatsoever. That picture of me is ancient. Well, I shouldn't say ancient. I shot that in 2016. I used to work at you guys probably know the company. It's called IGT, International Game Technology. And I used to be part of the art direction and graphic design team. I used to be involved in the brand identity. I did marketing. I did advertising, you name it. And then, so we needed to have a cover model for this magazine, which is our trade magazine. Well, it's probably gone now, but it was a trade magazine. It was called The Inside Straight. And we needed we needed a guy who looked like a quote unquote pit boss, because that's what the main article was about. And we couldn't find anybody. And I had this sort of military cut hairstyle at that time. And they said, and they actually made me do that smirk. And they said, think of Bruce Willis and the Bruce Willis smirk. And then I did that one little expression right there. And that's the one that they went with. So it's kind of like, almost like Popeye, except for it's like much more subtle. If you can do this, if you can do that smirk right there, dude, chicks love that shit. just saying. But that is actually me. There's no AI involved. There's no filter. Well, I mean, there's probably like early filters like it was probably photoshopped a little bit, I'm sure, but it wasn't like run through anything that we have now. So I start throwing that out there, and I'm like, do people really want me to go back to this look, right? Because that's what when I was in the working world, in the private sector, that's what I would go. I didn't wear a suit and tie, but that was my look, more or less, sort of business casual, at least. That's a little more formal, but that was for a magazine cover article. And so then what happens is I go and put that out there, and my best friend in the world, Miguel Munoz, posts this. And boy, the floodgates opened after that, to this one. Oh, that wasn't enough. We had to put Rollo in blackface. And as if that weren't enough, we had to make Rollo Myron Gaines. I'm sure there's probably some more by now. I mean, at the time the show started, that's all I had. I'm sure there's probably dozens more out there. There's one of me with a fro. Thanks. All my best friends came out of it to help me celebrate me. Yes, thank you. Jesus Christ, I can't believe you guys. So when you level up and get in shape and start making money, how do you turn alpha fucks instead of being looked at as just beta bucks? How do you compete with Chad? Okay, first of all, you're not competing with Chads. Okay, you have to take each individual woman as on a singular basis. Put it that way, on a bi chick basis. So see, the thing is don't let the image of Chad, super Chad, mega Chad, giga Chad, but that's the internet fucking with you. Okay. Do you know how rare a guy like Giga Chad actually is? Do you know how rare that is? Because 75% of the US population is overweight. Guess what? You level up, you start getting in shape, and you make more money. Let's just say, hell, just getting in shape puts you ahead of 75% of the US population. Good news. Don't let Giga Chad get in your head, and stop fucking, don't even call, like, the fact that you're even calling it Chad, the guy Chad, like that's a stereotype. That's like this fantasy, bugbear in your head, dude. You're not competing with that. All you're doing is you're applying yourself to each individual chick. Okay. So how do you not look like you're being beta bucks? How do you not look like you're a chump? You have to be congruent. You have to believe it. You have to own it. You have to internalize it. So the problem is that when you level up and you get in shape and start making money, okay, well, first of all, money's not as important as maybe like getting in shape. Okay. The reason why you have to understand is everything has to be like synergistic. So when you're getting in shape, people are going to treat you differently. If you don't accept that and you don't start like manifesting new behaviors, if you're incongruent with the way that you look, like you're still the beta you in your head, but you look like much better, like you have a better body now. You used to be a fat fuck, and now you have a better body, right? You got I'm saying you have a six, maybe a 4-pack, right? Your body fat percentage is down in the, I don't know, 16-15%. You started some visible muscularity. You're starting to look a little better, and people start treating you differently, right? If you're not manifesting behaviors that are congruent with the new you, because basically you just created a new version of yourself, right? If you're still in your head, you're your old self. That's what's going to make you a chump. You have to own it. It has to become who you are. You have to internalize it. You know why? Most guys, like, they come off as creepy, or they come off as chumps, or they come off as beta bucks, if you want to call it that. If they come off as being more beta, if women are making rules for you, rest assured they see you as a beta. They don't see you as somebody that they want to fuck. If they're breaking rules for you, then suddenly they maybe see you more as an alpha and they want to fuck you. And by order of degree. Don't take it to, well, there's only 100% alpha and there's only 100% beta. Like, you got to remember that you're leveling up, but you're not all the way at level 10 or 100 or whatever the fucking threshold is, right? But if you don't own it, if it's not, most guys still think it's a fucking act. They think it's like, oh, I'm playing a part. I'm going to be alpha now. No, it has to start up here. You gotta. That's why. God damn it, man! Like, how many ways do I have to say this? I've been writing about this in the 6th book in Reignite right now. Like, you will self-defeat. You will defeat everything you bust your ass for unless you own the new you. Unless you own who you are. You have to become that. You have to kill the fucking beta. Kill off who you were and become something new, something better. God damn it, that pisses me off so much. It feels like an act, Rolo. It feels like an act because you won't own the new you. That's why. That's what's incongruent. That's why you come off as creepy. I don't care how good looking you are if you still come off as a creep. Oh, well, being good looking really covers a multitude of sins. It does. It helps you kind of get past the sticking points. But if you're still this little boy beta in your head, that's why I keep saying alpha is a mindset and not a fucking demographic, man. Fuck, I know, like, my drummer, Jake, is 5'6", dude. That dude fucking turns out more pussy than I ever did in my fucking single days, man. That dude is fucking, that dude fucks. And he doesn't worry about, oh man, I'm 5'6", I can't get, I'm not too short. He doesn't do that. He just fucking goes, has a good attitude, man. He has a good conversation. The guy has fucking riz. The guy is charming as fuck. Fuck, I want MOA to hire him as a closer. He's that fucking good. But see, he owns his personality. He owns the fact that he's 5'6" and he's not 5. He ain't even 5'9". I mean, he might not be. Maybe he's 5'7". I don't know. But I do know this is that he doesn't let that deficit in height stop him. And I know so many other guys in MOA, and I know so many other guys in Reignite that are very pretty much the same thing. I've seen guys in my own group go from like being really kind of creepy old guy to being like fucking on top of their game. I mean, you know what the first step is? They had to fucking own the new them. Because that's what you're doing, is you're getting rid of the old you and you're becoming somebody new. If you want that, if you don't want to come off as beta bucks or creepy or whatever, where it starts is owning your new personality. And until you do, you're going to fail every fucking time. You're going to self-defeat every fucking time. Nothing bugs me more than that. I remember a pre-app world where I've just watched women adjust expectations when they realize they can't compete with those men. Yep, of course. Hey, Rolla, why do some women have such an aversion to statistical data? Because it doesn't feel good. Because statistics are the language of empiricism, not the language of emotionalism. I see them roll their eyes whenever you and Mike or others are present actual stats. Yeah, because they don't want to hear about it. They're not. Women are generally not analytical. Remember what I said about instinct, emotion, and reason? Like women prioritize instinct. Everybody does. They have to have, that's sort of a survival. It's like autonomous, right? But then there's emotion, and then there's reason. Men usually go instinct, reason, and then emotion. Instinct, reason to solve the problem and react to whatever the environment is throwing at them, and then they resolve what they felt about it. They might get PTSD, whatever they might do. And then emotion is prioritized after reason and rationality to solve the problem. Women prioritize instinct, emotion, and then a reason, right? So they want to feel something before they think about why they felt the way that they felt, right? We're just reprioritize things. And that's why their eyes glaze over whenever me and Mike present stats. And we're not doing it for the girls, we're doing it for the people at home. We kind of sorted that one out early on in the show. It's like, are we going to do this? Because the girls kind of they check it, they're on their phones and stuff like that whenever we're talking about David Buss drink. Yeah. Yeah, it's because it doesn't taste good. Stats don't taste good. They don't feel good, especially if they're ones that are unflattering to female nature. So there you go. Should dating apps add length of PP in inches and bank balance in addition to the? I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't in the future. Would this make dating apps more effective? Effective for who? It wouldn't surprise me if that wasn't a thing. Of course, what are you gonna? You're just going to lie about it. Shout out to Bill Maher and his monologue on the Hollywood portrayal of idiot fathers. Did he watch your show? Most likely. I love how like all these people are now finally coming around, right? They're finally coming around. Even Rob Henderson, even some of these other guys, and they make it sound like it's great revelation that the guys in the red pill haven't figured out since 2009. Red pill folk talk. Every woman is a 304. Every woman. No, we don't say every woman is a 304. Sorry. Have you ever heard me refer to my wife as a 304? But studies show women interest in sexual variety and short-term mate strategy is very low, 15 to 20%. For who? With self-reported? Of course they're going to say, like, if you ask women, okay, first of all, I would need to see the study, right? The other thing is there's two ways to do research. One of those is in the lab. One of those is doing surveys. One of those is doing very unscientific Twitter polls. One of those is doing very okay, so let's see. Let's just say for sake of argument that the stats are actually valid. Okay. Who were the participants? How many of them were there? Was it a significant study sample size? Did the study actually find what it was looking for? Or did they do what's called harking, which is hypothesizing after the results are known? Usually that's what our great friends in academia do. Oh, we got the results. This is what it must have meant. No, that's not what you were searching for in the first place. Come back later. Is it actually doing that? Okay, what were the ages? Were they heterosexual? Were they homosexual? I mean, I can run down variable after variable after variable. And the other thing is if I ask a woman, what are you looking for, or what are you looking for in a guy? What exactly are you looking for in a guy? They're going to tell you, oh, he's got to be funny. He's got to love his mother. He's got to like puppy dogs. He's got to be in shape. He's got to have ambition. He's got to have drive. He's got to have money. He's got to have, I know, intelligence. He's got to have a college degree. He's got to be in finance, 6'5", blue hair, blonde hair, blue eyes. They're never going to tell you, I want a guy who's got 18-inch guns, 22-inch guns. He's got to have a 9-inch cock. He's got to have a V-taper. He's got to have six-pack abs. He's got to have great ass muscle, glutes. He's got to have good glutes. He's got to have, all these physical. They'll never mention physical features. Why? Because it paints them in a bad light. So yes, it's almost as if, see, the thing is this, is like, when we only focus on what is complementary, what is flattering to female nature, we never get to talk about what is unflattering about female nature. That's the problem. Only 15 to 20% of women are into what short-term sex. Yeah. What's the age demographic? What of 60-year-olds sampled, of 35-year-olds sampled, of 18-year-olds sampled? What is it? See, what happens is this, is you get stupid ass, dumb fuck blanket statements like that. And then Chris Williamson or even Steve Bartlett or whoever, all the rest of these guys, these bigger accounts, these 10 million plus accounts will take that, they'll read that, and it becomes the fucking gospel. That's what's called data laundering. You take whatever hacked ass fucking survey that you can, hand it off to a bigger account. Even Tim Pool's guilty of this. We'll read it online or we'll read it on their show, and everybody believes it automatically without asking, because it's coming from a reliable source, and that reliable source is Tim Pool. And then it doesn't matter where Tim Pool got it from. It's called data laundering. If you want something to be true, make up some cock and bull fucking set of stats and hand it off to Chris Williamson, convince him to read it, and everybody will believe it's true. And here's my latest book on it. But by the way, that's only one way. Surveys, lab research is only one way of collecting data. Another way is going out into the field and observing what the humans are doing, observing what the bonobos are doing, observing what the silverback gorillas are doing. So if you're going to tell me that lab results, lab research is an important, tool in understanding human nature, then you have to also accept the fact that going out and doing field studies and observational research is every bit as important as experimental lab research, which is basically just surveys and polls and shit like that. In this case, is surveys and polls and stuff like that. Also, is the study qualitative or is it quantitative? Because if you're going to go and do a self-reported survey, guess what? That's qualitative research, not quantitative research. If you want to know how many people have AIDS, then you can do a quantitative research, right? Because you can get the numbers somewhere. Or like, what is the reason why women give every time they have an abortion? Well, 98.9% of the time it's elective. Very unflattering, and so unflattering that some states won't even require it from women anymore. More conservative states will, because they want to know what the data is so they can use that data. But if it's unflattering, and in this case it is, because an elective abortion is very unflattering, but women just basically decided to off their pregnancy, right? So what do? Oh, we make that illegal. That's an invasion of privacy. So how reliable is your fucking data? Probably not very reliable. Especially if you go out into the field and you watch it happen live in real time. Because if you're going to tell me that observational studies are not as relevant, then I'm going to point you at Diane Fossey and Jane Goodall. And you're going to tell me that Gorillas in the Mist and all the work that they've done on primate research, it doesn't make any difference because we can't bring the gorillas into the lab so that they can fill out a fucking survey. Idiots. Red pill folk. Like who? Please name names next time, dumb fuck. Please bring your drummer on the show. I'm going to do that. He'll come in. Are you kidding? Jake would love. He would drop everything to be on the show. He's been on Access Vegas. I joined a singles face group for my area. Their meetup events are nothing but 40-year-old women and fat single moms complaining that their men don't show up. Yep. Sounds like a church group to me. A chick told me dating apps should have a man's size listed. I agree on the condition of a woman's body count should be listed as well. So should their BMI and so should their body fat. If you're going to ask me how tall I am, I'm going to ask you what your body fat percentage is. You're getting Rumble super chats, FYI. Oh, can you go grab those for me, Sammy? You know where to find them. Thank you very much. I didn't realize I was getting those. All right, Sammy will go grab them for me. Thank you. All right, I need to get to this really quick because I've got a hard out here today, and I only got 40 more minutes to do this. So let me wrap. Let me go grab these. These are from. I kind of wanted to show this whole video, but in fact, I think I might. I'm just gonna at least show you the first part here, so you guys know what I'm talking about. This is the debate of is feminism creating lonely men? From what's this next? Steve Bartlett's thing. Oh, share screen. There we go. This thing's like 2+ hours long. So obviously I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but let's jump in here. So this, where'd it go? Should I full screen this? I'll full screen it. Here you go. All right. So this is Steve Bartlett, and these are the chicks he decided to bring in for this discussion. Here we go.
Louise, can you define for me what you mean by sexual revolution for anybody that doesn't know? Because it's going to be quite an important term today.
Right. So I think that there are two things, really. The ideological event, really, of the 1960s and 1970s. So this was a period.
I get so many Harry Potter vibes from this chick. Was she Hermione? I forget the name of the chick. Louise Perry, she died in the wool feminist, but now suddenly she's sort of like backpedaling. She wants to be sort of like this new feminist.
Period of, not just in relation to sexual relationships, but all sorts of things, a period of really questioning and challenging traditional ideas, and particularly traditional Christian ideas about what sexual relationships ought to look like. I think actually the point that we've reached in terms of progressive culture is the assumption that those traditional ideas are necessarily questionable, are necessarily fit to be challenged. I think that's the ideological thing that we're talking about. But there's this other thing that happens at the same time, which is partially connected, which is a material change. So you have the introduction of the pill, the advent of safe abortion. Remember, historically, abortion is not safe. So you have the advent of safe abortion, and of course, it's decriminalization. You have things like the washing machine and central heating and all sorts of other domestic appliances, domestic technologies, which actually have been enormously important in changing sexual relationships, because all of a sudden it means that this basically takes less time to run a home. And so it becomes more possible for women to enter the workforce. So then you see this wave of not only changing marriage rates and birth rates, but also women entering the labor force en masse, and really some enormous social changes, like so enormous that it can be a little bit hard in 2025 to realize how enormous they were, because we've become used to them.
We'll talk about all of that today.
Okay, yeah, we will talk about all of that today here. Now, I'm going to point something else out, just because I think I'm going to have to be the one to point out the 800-pound gorilla in the room here and correct Louise. The only reason we had the sexual revolution was because of the pill. It wasn't shit that came prior. It wasn't. I mean, we're creating washing machines and technology. Was that something that was? Those are force multipliers. Those are just. Yeah, they certainly did, but nothing has changed the course of human reproduction like the pill. There's nothing on planet. If you've read my fourth book, The Rational Male Religion, available on Amazon, go get it today. One of the things I point out in the introduction is that the pill is is a piece of fruit that fell from the tree of carnal knowledge, or the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, right? Never in the course of humanity have we had an invention that allowed us to reliably and like semi-reliably have sex and not have to worry about pregnancy. Not have to worry about a pregnancy following that. So is it any shock that the baby boom generation was also the free love generation? Is it any shock that there was a sexual revolution that came in the wake of that one technological advancement? Is it any shock that marriage rates plummeted at that time? Is it any shock that divorce rates skyrocketed at that time? Is it any shock that we had no-fault divorce come into existence in the state of California in 1968 and ratified by then Governor Ronald Reagan? Is it any shock that Roe v. Wade, now she's talking about, oh, well, we have, safe abortion, this and that. No, she's like mixing this all up into some sort of like sexual revolution gumbo. No, all of these things happened in a certain timeline. And I gotta dig this up real quick because it's going to be very important for, I wish I would have thought of this earlier, but I'm going to grab the data on this. I've already got it here somewhere. I've used this so many times. I'm blue in the face for using these stats. Here it is. Okay. So if you go, and to my knowledge, I'm the only one who's done this thus far. And Louise, if you'd like this chart, I'd be happy to give it to you. But I have some data here, and you guys you already know what my good guys know what I'm, my regulars know what I'm going to show here in just a moment. What is this? Oh, there it is. Okay. B, C, D. Wait, go to that. Okay, here we go. So all you really need to explain the sexual revolution is this one chart. Divorce rates and oral contraceptive use. Okay. This is CDC and Census Bureau data. Okay. This is not something that's hard to find. Okay. If you superimpose divorce rates from the time of, well, this goes back to 1955, but I'm interested in the point between 1965 and 1970. Okay. So if you go and you look at women using the pill versus the divorce rate at that time, look at that spike right there. What on earth could have caused that spike? And also, if we're looking at what's going on between 1965 and let's just say about 1975, which is where that peak happens to be, spiking divorces, that is. Also, remember that spike in divorces also coincides with, no-fault divorce, which was initiated by California. And once that happened, the dam was open. Why would that happen? Why would there be a spike in divorce right around 68 to 70? The pill, the introduction of the pill. Now women don't have to stay with their rat bag husbands anymore. We're all going to be, it's women's liberation. What happened between 1965 and 1970? Hell, you can go to 1974 if you want. What happened there? Well, in 1971, we also had, we went off the gold standard. And so now we have essentially fiat currency. And women can now get bank accounts. Women now can get lines of credit, and because the credit companies were more than welcoming to have to jump on board with, you can have it all, girls. They were more than happy to jump on this feminist wave of, we're a progressive company now. We're gonna let the little old ladies have their bank accounts now. Yeah, we're really progressive. No, you're not. You're making more money than anything. And so we have this from 1965-ish to I don't know, mid 80s somewhere. And then of course if you track beyond 2010, you'll see a little bit of a dip there from 2005 to 2010 in women using the pill. And then you'll see the divorce rate pretty much stays where it's at. But if you look at that spike, I understand correlation is not causation. Causation is not correlation. But this is a fucking hell of a correlation, okay? I mean, come on. Because that's what happens. And if she was really honest with this whole thing, you would track along with it. The sexual revolution happens between about 1964 through 1970, 1974, and then you go into the disco era, right? Then it's like Studio 54, and then AIDS comes in and it kills the holiday. HIV right around the early 80s when poor old, I'm trying to think who died. Well, Magic Johnson gets HIV, but Freddie Mercury dies from HIV. Yeah, that put the kibosh on the free love generation. But it took about 10 years, 12 years, 15 years for it to really to say, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't be fucking like rabbits, right? But why were they doing that in the first place? Because they had a new technology that allowed them to do so. And so as a result, what happens? Divorce rates spike, marriage rates plummet. Women can be more selective. They can have sex and find out if they want to fuck this guy or they don't want to fuck this guy. You'll also see that between 1965 and 1975, 1980, that's when women are entering the workforce. That's when women can now have lines of credit. They can now have their own personal bank accounts. Why? Because they don't want to rely on, because they want to follow the plan that Gloria Steinem set out for them. She was the one, not Rollo Tomasi. Gloria Steinem said women are becoming the men that they want to marry. And now they have become the men that they want to marry. That's how you get this bitch right here. Dating is the only thing that you can put 10,000 hours into and end up right where you started. Yeah. Katie Kirsch, okay, make your Jew joke now, who is 30 and runs a 30. Look at that chick's face. She's out of the face of a 30-year-old and runs a leadership coaching startup. Leadership coaching startup. What the fuck even is that? That's like, I'm an industrialist. Out of New York City, ramped down her search for a husband after many of the... You're 30. You're ramping down your... You would think you'd be ramping it up. After many of the men she dated either seemed turned off by her ambition or weren't career-oriented enough for her. You run a leadership coaching startup out of New York. How much ambition do you really have? What are you actually doing? What dent are you putting in the fucking universe? I ask you, honestly. So when I see, and I've heard Louise Perry say, she's parroted back the same shit to Chris Williamson. And it's like, if you were to ask me, Rollo, what do you think about the sexual revolution? I would give you the timeline, because this right here had a cascade effect. Now, did what she say happen? Yes, of course it did. But you have to track how the dominoes fell, man. It's not enough to just go, well, we have this and this and this, and that's why we're at where we're at right now. No, that's chick speak. Follow the money, follow the dominoes. It's a cascade effect. We don't get the sexual revolution unless we have hormonal birth control first. We don't get women jumping into the workforce unless there's a spike in divorce first. We don't get a spike in divorce unless there is hormonal birth control to inspire that spike first. How hard is it to fucking just wrap your heads on curb this fucking eye? How hard is it to do that? Apparently it's impossible for former feminist Louise Perry. Fuck's sake, follow the cascade, follow the effect. And the reason why that's important, because you'll get to see what's coming down the fucking road next. Why? It is not hard to do. I mean, maybe you just need critical thinking skills. Maybe you just need to be a little bit more analytical. I don't know. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're put on the spot there. I don't know what the fuck to think, quite honestly. All right, let's get back to it.
And clockwise, then Erica, same question to you about your background and the work that's fed into the perspective you have.
I'm a psychoanalyst in private practice. I'm an author. I write books about parenting, and the book I'm probably most well known for is my book Being There, and it's basically about the neuroscience of attachment, or the importance of mothers in the first 3 years.
And that's why I said this attachment theory bullshit is going to be very important for this conversation. She's basing her professional credentials on a dead meme, on a dead hypothesis
of a child's life to create emotional security, which lays down the foundation for mental health in the future.
Parenting has far less to do, the final result of parenting has far less to do with parenting than it does about genetics. She should know this. You want to know why feminists, like scholars and psychologists and psychotherapists, always shit all over evolutionary psychology, because their revenue depends on it. Their professional well-being depends on it.
And so from my perspective, I guess the conversation we're going to have, I should say right off the bat, I consider myself a feminist, but I consider myself a term that I like better and that my community uses, the people that I work with, and which is I consider myself a maternal feminist. Basically, there was a school of thought called maternal feminism, which really elevated women in their work as mothers and really talked about it as very important work. And so I'm not an anti-feminist, and I'm certainly for women to have choice. So it'll be an interesting discussion. I guess you could say I'm more of a centrist on this topic. As Louise said, there are parts of feminism that I think really helped women, and there are parts that really did a lot of harm to children.
And lastly, Deborah.
Yes.
Same question to you.
There you go.
So I am best known as the host of the Guilty Feminist podcast. And I started that podcast to learn about feminism. And I have since
Comedian. Anybody want to go see her stand-up?
researched a lot. I wrote a book called The Guilty Feminist. I've just written a book called 6 Conversations We're Scared to Have, which does also challenge some of the directions that we've gone, but more in about how combative we've become as progressive people to each other, and how difficult it is to talk to people on the right now, and how we need to get back in rooms and we need to be having difficult discussions like this. So it's interesting what Louise says about being raised in a progressive household.
Okay, so now you know who the Now you know who the characters are here. Now I have the clips because I'm not going to go through this whole goddamn thing. But you guys want to go see her stand up? Probably not. If it's so important to have these conversations, if it's so important to do these substantive, constructive, critical thinking exercises with Steve Bartlett, why the fuck are there no men on this panel? Why do men not have a seat at that fucking table? Why? And I'm not saying it has to be me. I could be anyone. There's no one there. Why? Why is that? Because they might bring up something that is unflattering to female nature. Someone might be able to point something out, some stat. Somebody might actually say, hey, maybe we should look at the effects of the hormonal birth control on the divorce rate. And some smart motherfucker might come out there and say, hey, look, the only reason you guys women got credit cards and bank accounts and were able to enter the workforce is not because of, some sort of, great feminist, achievement. It's because it was simple pragmatism for the insurance agencies. It's all about the money. Of course, we want to put women into the workforce. Look what it does to GDP. Skyrockets GDP, or skyrockets productivity, but mean wages stay the same. Who benefits from that? I'll let you connect the dots. Who benefits from greater productivity, but mean wages stay the same? Who? It's more than a man can take. What do we got here? Who charges more commission? YouTube 30% or Rumble? YouTube always charges more commission. Where do you think the Europe and USA will end up in 50 to 100? Why am I getting this question? Will end up in 50 to 100 years in regards to men, women, decadent relationships. Are they decadent? See, when you use words, be very specific. If you're going to use the word degenerate, you better give me a definition of what the fuck degenerate is. If you're going to use a word like decadent, what decadent from what? As compared to what? As compared to women in the Amish Dutch country in Pennsylvania? What, according to what? Where is all this going to lead us? And what you want me to say is, well, we need to get back to the church and we all need to put women in their place. And we all need to repeal the 19. Is that what you want me to say? Because I'm not going to say that. Or degeneracy. What the fuck does that even mean? I think most people don't even know what the fuck that means. Decadent, according to what? Compared to what? Decadent? Because I'll tell you right now, I grew up in the 80s. We still had casual sex in the 80s. Fuck, we had better sex. We have better sex than you guys, than Gen Z has. At least we wanted to fuck back then. We were interested in fucking. You ever seen a pornography between like 1980 and 1990? And then you look at porn today, and it's like you had to be a rock star, man. You had to be in great shape. Chicks had to have gigantic titties. They had to have like their hair. There was no tats. I mean, just to have like a belly piercing was scandal. Even just shave your cooter was like niche porn. And now, can you find porn without a chick that doesn't have any tats? Yeah, if it's a fetish. Fetish porn is like a girl who has no tats now. That decadent compared to what? Compared to 1990, compared to 1980, compared to the greatest generation when we were storming the beaches of Normandy. You tell me, man. Whenever somebody uses that term, I expect to see a little cross in their bio. Leadership coaching equals she gives BJs to CEOs, so she's a sex worker, is what you're saying. For feminism as an ideology to exist, there has to be an exchange. Man plays a role as a woman, and a woman plays a role as a man. Yeah, well, there has to be. You have to masculinize men or women, and you have to feminize men. That's why Gloria Steinem said women are becoming the men that they wanted to marry. For the love of God, there's a reason the show Adolescence exists. It's a feminist agitprop. Of course it is. I wish, it is, but it's also UK government agitprop. It's also what passes for an NGO over there, but it's called the CCE, the Center for Combating Extremism, who funded the research of Will Costello. Thank you. Agitprop for a lot of people, but yes. Mike Sartain gives data about difference sexual variety between men and women. That's a huge difference. Video posted on November 24. Okay, difference about what? What are we talking about? Please speak in complete sentences. Rumble, let's see. I got to get to these ones on Rumble. Rothlo, I'd love to see a functional equivalent of he didn't go to therapy pushed on women. Yeah. You're depressed? Have you tried rough housing with the girls? Have you talked it out with changing the oil? Yeah. Put it in female terms. Culture Americano. Imagine, if you will, an alternative timeline where one didn't read the Rational Male book series over and over, and every book that copied it, you would be fucked, but not fucking at least as not as much. That's true. And Cultural Americano again. Mystery was right. Hi, chick. Would you like to touch my crystal? Cat crack all the day. It's chick crack, not cat crack. I like cat crack better, actually. All right. And then what's this one? I'm late to the show. Did you see Bill Maher criticizing the influence of the manosphere with pics of Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, and the like, as if they're, well, you know what? I will say this. I'll put the challenge out to Bill Maher. You want me to come on your show? I'll be happy to come on your show, and I will wipe the fucking floor with you. Nobody knows the manosphere better than I do. No one. And I am not glossing myself. I am not trying to pat myself on the back. You don't know what you're talking about. And the fact that you would use those people as if they are in any way authoritative references just shows you just simply don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And everybody knows. Everybody in the sphere knows you don't know what you're talking about. So have me on or shut the fuck up. Simple as that. And I'm at the point right now where I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to lose by popping off like that. So thank you. I already got to those. I got to those ones. Got to that one. Did I get to any of those? There we go. Yeah, I got nothing to lose by popping off. I mean, am I wrong? Please check me if I'm wrong. Hold me back. Hold me back if I'm wrong. What do you think will happen to South Korea? Will they go extinct? Will men go back around? No, they won't. They'll go extinct. That's what I think. At the present rate, I don't think there is a man. And by the way, they'll go extinct because of a meme. And I don't mean a meme in the sense that you think it is. I mean, if you understand what memetics are, the meme that I'm talking about is that men ain't shit and women are the ones who ought to be running the world. Guess what? Korea goes extinct. Japan will go extinct. A lot of those kind of, the first one, the canary in the coal mine will be that there will be no ethnic at least South Koreans anymore. There won't. You'll notice that there's a higher birth rate in North Korea than there is in South Korea. Why do you think that is? Oh, because they're traditional? Or no, because they're under tyranny. Because they're ruled. Because their meme is different than the South Korean meme. Which one is working better? Which way of life, which narrative, which cultural narrative makes men and women want to get together and fuck? I was just saying that a minute ago when we were talking about, well, what's decadent? You know what makes, I'll tell you right now, you know what makes for a decadent society is people not having sex. People not having sex to the point where we're putting the birth rate back to at least subsistence levels. We've been below replacement levels in the United States since the mid 70s. No one talks about that. You know why they don't talk about that? Because they don't want to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. And this seems like a good segue here. Now I'm going to get back to my clips real quick. I don't have too much more time, but I'm going to get back to my clips here in just a second. But I do have to put this up because I made a note of, I want to read Justin Murphy's clip here. Did I get that right there? Okay, actually, let's blow this up a little bit more. There we go. All right, this is Justin Murphy. Now he was responding to this article right here that I was talking about, the chick who is in the leadership coaching startup, right? And then I'm also going to respond to this. This is also this is from the New York Times just this week. Men, where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated. You like that? Do you notice that everything is a failure? Like if you look, words matter. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas. They're dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. No, you don't. No, you don't. You miss a fantasy of what those guys, you miss what you want them to be. You miss the men that you want them to be. You want them to solve your problems by them changing their lives. And by the way, this message, and I've got to put this back up here. I'm going to get back to his post in just a second, but I've got to put this up as well. So this is actually from that article right there. Notice the imagery that goes along with that. It's like these guys hiding in some little box while this poor little waif is sitting on top of the box. Why did they choose that? Why is that the chosen shot right there? But this whole thing right here, this is what he was referring to was, and then, by the way, that's why I titled today's topic, where did all the men go, right? And of course, what happens now is you've got the MGTOW faction of the manosphere just thinking that they have some sort of triumph. This give them a victory lap. Ha! These girls want us to come back. We were right. Okay, so this is it. Justin Murphy. I'm just going to read this. Women now plan their lives around financial independence before anything else. There's no puzzle here. Their central concern in life is to never need a man. And once they achieve that, how can anyone feign surprise that they're not getting married? It's not because the bottom half of men are doing worse in college, adding insult to injury. This is always floated as if it somehow explains why a 30-year-old female startup founder can't find husbands. These women have made their own bed. It's completely explicit in their own words and obvious in the data. But somehow these articles can never just say the thing. Somewhere in high school or college, these women came to the view that maximizing their independence would be pure upside. No matter what happens, they will enjoy material security. And once that security is achieved, they will have the most leverage to get the best possible match. If I never get a match, I'll be fine. But this will probably help me get a great match because a master's degree and a career and a business are unalloyed goods. There's not a particular evil. It's not a particularly evil mindset, but it is new and essentially selfish and just happens to be based on a tragically false model of the world. Once a woman has financial independence, she's less likely to want any man, while all of the best men are less likely to want her. At the same time, she now feels more entitled to the best men. Great fucking work, man. Well done, Justin Murphy. Bravo. Thank you. What I want to know is this. Why don't they talk? Where's the Atlantic article about this? Where's the Times article about this? We can't even talk about this on the Daily fucking Wire. Nobody's going to touch this. No one wants to talk about this. And even the broads that are on Steve Bartlett's show, they don't say still dance around shit like that. They will dance around anything that is unflattering to female nature. And the fact is that it is female nature. It is fundamentally contradicts the blank slate. It fundamentally contradicts emotionalism. It fundamentally contradicts social constructionism. It contradicts subjectivism. It contradicts postmodernism. It contradicts all of that stuff. And it's their own fucking words. When I pointed this out on a few occasions, like whenever we entertain quote unquote transgenderism, whenever we entertain the idea of, for instance, biological men in female sports, what we're doing is whenever that happens, we think, oh my God, I can't believe they would allow this man to compete at this level. Like, what is it? The number one swimmer in female sports is a man, is a biological man. In male swimming, he's the number 467th best male swimmer, but you put him in with the ladies and he's number one. But he's the one who holds the title. Hell, Zuby, as far as I know, still owns the title for female deadlifting. Like, I don't know if somebody came up and took that off of him, but he went in, identified as a female, deadlifted what he could do, which is like nothing compared to like what most guys. I mean, he could lift. Don't get me wrong, but he can outlift pretty much any woman in the sport. Goes in, identifies as a man, and then as soon as he comes out, he identifies back as a man again. What's happened here is not we've taken a cultural meme that men and women can do anything together, and even if you are you identify as a woman or a man, it doesn't make any difference, right? It makes no difference. That's a blank slate, right? Men and women are the same. So whether you identify as a man or you identify as a woman, you're still the same, until the challenges that are required of that individual are physically specific to a male or a female body type, right? So when you've got that one biological man who's, I forget the name, but the guy that was in, well, everybody want to say she's actually a she, but she's basically a biological man, and she was the Olympic boxing champion, and it hits as hard as a guy does and knocks out her opponents within the first round. And none of the girls wanted to fight her. And by the way, the same thing happened to the number one fencer. And what's happening here is we've been playing this game. We've been playing this game of mollycoddling this idea that men and women are just exactly the same. We're mollycoddling this set, very limited, by the way, set of individuals, and playing along with their psychosis, playing along with their neuroses. We're playing along with this. And then what happens is when we play in a certain theater, when we play in a certain sport, that's when empirical reality smashes into that feel-good emotionalism. That's when empiricism smashes into emotionalism. When that woman can't be as good a firefighter as a man can be. A man has much easier time meeting all the physical requirements. So what do? We lower those requirements so we can get women into it, because we still, even though the physical realities teach us that this is an impossibility, we'll still try to change the nature of the game so to fit the skills of the player. If the skills of the player are less, then we make the game less. But the game doesn't get less. In real life, people live or die because a firefighter can knock down can barrel through a door. Women can't, men can. Guess what? We're not the same. And whenever that happens, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where people lose their shit. We're doing that now, but we're doing that collectively now with women like the ones on this panel coming to the realization that their philosophy, their narratives are false. Their ego investments in those ideologies are patently false. When I make the challenge and I say, look, gender and identity, or gender and sex, are not separate. They are combined. They are together. because gender is downstream from biology, and biology is your biological sex. This is 100% proven. We can see that men think in a different way. Women think in a different way. Our brain chemistry, our neurons, the architecture of our brain is different. We can see that as the physical reality, but we want it to be different. If we just change it, everybody agreed to play along, then it would be that way. No, it wouldn't. And this pisses off feminists, especially intersectional feminists, so much. When I point out the fact that biology or that gender identity is downstream from biology, and they are connected. They're intimately connected, because for the longest time, really since the mid 70s, right around the time when the sexual revolution was starting, everybody gets to be whatever they want to be. You can be a furry. You can be whatever the fuck you want to be. No, you can't, because biology and sex are inseparable. Biology influences gender, and that gender identity that we all love to talk about so much. We are crushing that idea right now, and it is driving this generation insane. That's why so many people are identifying as trans. That's why so many people, I want to feel special. You're not trans. You're gay and boring, and you want something that makes you feel weird. I know everybody wants to have something that sets them apart from everything else. I want to be a rock star. You know, at my age, I'm doing pretty good for that, on that number. But am I going to be the next fucking, superstar? No. I understand that. I understand the realities of things. I have the ability to separate fantasy from reality. Let me grab at least one of these things. I'm coming up on time, but I got to at least get to a couple of these things that Kilgore gave me. This was video number 1.
Into this conversation about when you should have sex, and also marriage as a subject. And it shows that from the 1970s, roughly women would get married at about 21 years old. And now, this graph will be on the screen, it's about 30. Men used to get married at around 23 years old, and now it's just over 30, which is a pretty crazy climb. So it feels to me, if the sexual revolution took place in around this era where we see this rapid climb, maybe the two are somewhat interlinked, i.e. the age in which we'd be getting married or having sex under Louise's, potential advice that it's
because of the pill. That's
Thank you. It's about time. Now, this is great. I've actually used this stat before. Look where it happens. 1970. Now, for fuck's sake, Louise, identify this as a cascade effect, and she does, as a part of hormonal birth control. Here we go.
Just over 30, which is a pretty crazy climb. So it feels to me, if the sexual revolution took place in around this era where we see this rapid climb, maybe the two are somewhat interlinked, i.e. the age in which we'd be getting married or having sex under Louise's, potential advice that
it's because of the pill. That's why that happened. It's because it used to be that if you were having sex with someone, you were risking pregnancy. And now that's not, it is still true, because actually all contraception fails. And something like half of women in this country get pregnant didn't mean to, or whatever. So the idea that it's foolproof is not true. But what the pill did when it arrived on the scene in the late 60s was it gave the illusion that sex was consequence-free. And it isn't on a physical level, not really. It's less consequential than it was because of the pill, but the physical consequences are still there. But I think just as importantly, it became no less emotionally consequential. Just because you're on the pill or using condoms or whatever, your mind, and particularly women who, as we talked about, bond more quickly, your mind still thinks that this person could well become the father of my child. You are still experiencing sex as in the way that all of our ancestors did for all of human history up until 5 minutes ago, until we invented this new technology. And I think that's why it has to, the reason that women have evolved to be picky about who they have sex with is because getting pregnant is an extraordinarily consequential thing for women. It's dangerous, it's difficult, it's a huge, investment of their time and of their life. And you don't want to get pregnant by some bozo, right? That's why women tend to be very selective about who they're willing to have sex with and feel really bad. And I've got to say, leaving aside words like sacred, because they're obviously difficult because of religious implications, I think that we should, as feminists, describe sex as at least special, like having some kind of special status. It's not like other kinds of socializing. It's not like having a conversation with someone or playing tennis with someone. And we can tell that it's been doing it wrong. Well, but we can tell.
Well, we could call it one of the most intimate experiences you can have as a human being.
And that's why rape is so bad, right? That's why feminists
because it bastardizes the most intimate.
Dovetails.
So let me be the one to shit all over this really quickly here. Women, especially in the age of OnlyFans, I think it's interesting. They're never gonna bring this one up. But as I was saying a little earlier on this show, is that we've gotten to the point right now where women can compartmentalize the sex act from that specialness, from that act of intimacy, the sacredness of it, however you the decadence of, like, women have basically conditioned themselves, and particularly if they are earning a living through sex work in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be OnlyFans, but pretty much that's OnlyFans has democratized sex work or sexuality, so that the average chick, hell, I know women who are in their 60s who are on fucking OnlyFans, and I know chicks who are like 18 who are on OnlyFans. Okay, so it's democratized the sexual marketplace, or certainly the sex worker marketplace right now. So before we start talking about how women what they ought not to do, we need to focus more on the statistics. We need to focus more on what is happening right now before we start mouthing off about, oh, it's sacred this and it's cosmic significance. Yes, it's cosmic significance to women who are their age. But when you go and you look at the women on Fresh and Fit or on OnlyFans, or on OnlyFans too, but also on whatever podcast, Access Vegas, hell, you just go look on TikTok, and it's ever present. It's always in your face. So it's time that we sort of look at the forest for the trees at this point. So if we're going to look at this whole thing in totality, in aggregate here, we have to include the fact that women in mass have become more comfortable with separating the sex act from an emotional investment in it, because the ones who can do that successfully make way more money than the ones who can't. In fact, the ones who can't do that are the ones who aren't on OnlyFans in the first place. They're the ones wagging fingers and saying it's a spiritual thing. All right, let me do one more of these real quick before I get out of here. What's the other one? I think what's interesting about this, though, is like they're still talking about the sexual revolution, but getting into the nuts and bolts of the timeline here this is what needs to be talked about.
Slightly disagree. So I think I spoke at the beginning about the sexual revolution being two things. So one is the ideological thing, which we've spoken about quite a lot, and the other is the material changes, which no one designed really. Like, this wasn't coordinated by anyone. This just happened. This is just how technology goes. And I think in general that history should best be understood as technology, with everything else kind of running along in its wake, including ideology. I actually think a massive thing that's going on with young men, it's not actually feminism that has messed them up. It's actually technology and economics. So it's that one of the most consequential things of the 20th century and before, this is really Industrial Revolution onwards, is male strength became less important economically. Blue collar work is less valuable than it used to be. It's less available than it used to be. It turns out, America was saying that girls predominate at universities. Girls actually tend to be better suited to a lot of work which has flourished in this era. So say service sector work or working in education, things like that. There's basically been a boom in areas of life which are better suited to women professionally, and the opposite has happened with men. And I really think that a lot of what's going on with men, say, turning to the manosphere, is this feeling of being economically devalued. And there are feminists who cheer that on, but that's not basically, that pretty much has actually nothing to do with ideology. It's actually to do with just much bigger changes in the world. And we should expect, by the way, I mean, if AI continues apace, we should expect to see the same sort of social effects happening. But this when you change how people earn their money, and particularly when we're talking about people matching up, that women tend to want to marry a man who, I think being a provider is not quite right. I think what women really want, though, is a man who provides excellent insurance, a man who, when you've just had a baby and you can't work, or you're ill, or you want to spend more time home with children, whatever, you want a man who can step up and can look after your family. And unfortunately, the nature of the economy means that there actually aren't that many of those men. Mm-hmm. And that makes men feel really bad, and it makes women feel resentful, and it creates a lot of dysfunction. And it's not really anyone's fault. It's just.
And for the first time in history, men are saying, what do I get out of this? That's what Andrew Wilson said to Tommy Lahren. What's in it for me? And you know why she couldn't answer that? It's because she has been accustomed and been acculturated in a Western society that conditions her to get offended whenever that topic comes up. She literally couldn't answer it. She's literally speechless. It's this pussy. Well, she can't say it's this pussy. So what else is it? What else do you get out of it? If I have been asked, I've been saying, I'm going to end with this. I've been asking this for quite some time. She's not wrong about the technological side of things. You know, the thing that gets me is it's we have a gun these days. Like, we don't have to worry about saber-toothed tigers. I'm a woman. I can buy a pistol and I can shoot it, right? That's technology. I feel safer because we don't have to worry about, we have modern medicine right now, Rollo. I got into this conversation with Destiny. We don't need strong men anymore. But it seems to me that the strong men are the ones that, and by strong I mean physical prowess, and I mean like guys who actually can kick ass and get shit done. We don't need those guys anymore. Rolo, women appreciate, soft, vulnerable, emotionally available guys who go to fucking therapy, right? Those are the guys that women want to fuck. That's why they keep saying, there's nothing hotter than a guy that goes to therapy and he's vulnerable and he tells me about his feelings. No, that's not the guy they're fucking. The guy they're fucking is the guy who doesn't do any of that shit. The guy who fucking gets, you want to know why guys are more focused on getting in shape and getting yoked right now? It's because, quite honestly, that's what women want. Women want a guy who looks good. Because what's left? Beta bucks. Provisioning, protection, and parental investment is if a woman, through technology, can pretty much have fail safes and assurances and insurances that, through her own means or through the means of the state, whether it's she's being funded by an ex, husband, or if she's getting money stipends from the government, or she's making money on her own. She understands at least that she has some sort of assurances that her long-term security needs are going to be met. How do they do that? Through technology. We don't need men anymore. We have jobs. We have technology. We have AI. We have OnlyFans. We have all of these, like, name the technology. We have all of this stuff. So why do we need men anymore? If provisioning, protection, and parental investment are already that side of the hypergamous dual mating strategy equation is already taken care of. What the fuck is left? You know what's left? Alpha fucks. And men picked up on that. So, let me see here real quick. Anyways, I'm to go see my brother right now. I'm going to go see my brother out in Carson City, Dayton area. So that's why I have to leave you guys. I can only go for 2 hours today. But I just do want to leave this is now. How does that track with what Justin Murphy had said here? Okay, it's not because the bottom half of men are doing worse in college, adding insult to injury. This is always floated out as if it somehow explains why 30-year-old female startup founders can't find husbands. This is what I wanted to get into here. Where did all the men go? They don't care where all the men went. They want to know where all the eligible bachelors went because women want their problems solved. The problem is like if they got the men they want, the men that they want don't make the kind of money that they need. They can make up any social criteria that they want to, and it never applies to what it is that would solve their problems. They want alpha fucks. But we're never going to talk about that, remember? Even the ivory tower academics don't want to touch the alpha fucks, visceral sexual, short-term sexual needs side of women. They don't want to touch that. It will never be an issue. Because you can't build a brand on that. You can't get female eyes on the screen. You'll alienate half of your audience, Rollo. I do it anyways. I got nothing to lose by doing that. So my promise to you is I will keep doing what I'm doing. Let me get to these last ones here. Thank you very much for the $20. It's going to help me buy the new Space Wolves stuff. Had an ex from 5 years ago email me a hey big head a type email. I ignored it. 2 months later, 2 months later, two of her friends found me on LinkedIn and told me to respond. We're all around age 28. I'm hitting my stride. It was nuts. Yeah, of course. Of course they are. But what did she just say? The average age of first marriage. By the way, they are incorrect about that. According to the stats that I've seen from Jim Sexton, divorce attorney Jim Sexton, and this is the Forbes stats, by the way, is the average age of first marriage for women is 30, and for men it's 32 right now. So they might be using some old numbers in that. But yeah, of course they are, because you're just starting to hit your stride. Hey, handsome, it sounds like you're the one that I actually should have gotten with. Rational redneck, I didn't retreat, run, or hide. I noticed that my effort wasn't being rewarded, so I got bored and went home. Thanks. No, you're hiding underneath in the little box, right? So anyways, that's, yeah. Well, notice that they use words like hide or everything's fear. All of those adjectives are meant to evoke emotion. Men are just afraid of big, successful, I don't know, what is it, leadership, coaching startup chicks. No, we're not. We just don't want to have anything to do with you and your pretentious bullshit. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But again, going back to what Justin says, it's like it's always floated out there as if there's like that's the problem. Oh, men aren't getting educated enough. No, it's women who are the fucking problem. And you can't say that. You can't say that on any of these shows. That's why you have to have 3 women on your show and no men, Steve Bartlett. Have guys on your show and ask them the same goddamn questions. Have me on the show, have Justin Waller on the show, and have Mike Sartain on the show. You want a kick-ass show, Steve? I will deliver better numbers than that panel. I will guarantee you. Because it's all about brand to you motherfuckers anyways. I will guarantee you a better show, better numbers, better analytics, better stats than that if you put myself and you put Justin Waller and you put Mike Sartain on that show, or put Myron Gaines. I don't care. Take your pick. Have a manosphere, and don't put fucking Destiny on there and just blue-haired gay ass on there to tell you what's the state of the manosphere. He knows nothing. He's no one. He never was anyone. I will guarantee you, because you want to have substantive conversation. Is that what you're about, or are you about brand building? Because I can do both, motherfucker. MGTOW, you mean like TFM? No, TFM's not. Is TFM? Does he still? I guess he probably would consider himself MGTOW. When's the collab? Whenever he wants to do it, man. It's kind of hard to nail him down right now. I mean, he'd probably do it if I asked him. Yeah, we'll do a collab at some point. Motel 6 podcast. Woohoo! It's not Motel 6. This is the Hilton, man. I don't stay at them dives. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys all. I will be back. Let's see. I'm in Tahoe. I'm going to do some stuff on Instagram this week from Tahoe. I might even do some Osmo videos while I'm there too, if I get inspired. But I have internet connection and I have this wonderful live rig that I can use anywhere now, which is awesome. So look for more stuff from me this week. No Access Vegas because I'm here and Mike's on the road too. So we will be getting back together on July 2nd. Will be the next Access Vegas. But I will see you guys again for sure Sunday of next week. And until then, I guess I have to play my going out music here. There we go. Oh my God, it's so expensive.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by when open like a matchbox stereo. Keep my thoughts now let go. Bound to keep me up all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Yeah, I could have the best in my life. Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name? She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stopping with her hair. Like she's calling you Kelly. So baby, come ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting messy. Working up and down on your body. Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we can down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different.
City Podcast has been a production of the Irrational Male. All rights reserved. 2025. Registered trademark. Just renewed it. And don't you